inviting me over for this virtual webinar. And I think our colleague, Mr. Paddy, for the road sector and how the highway sector has, taken its, how it's initiated the concept of commercial infrastructure development in our country. So I think that's been a very good, initiative, and it's given us a lot of learnings. It has actually laid the platform for many other sectors also for commercially developing infrastructure, because earlier, in the 90s, till the 90s, we only saw government funding, and the public-private partnership took its shape only, this millennium. And even in that domain, we have, a lot of issues. Issues will be there because we always find such, bottlenecks when anything new happens. And this also has been a lot of, experience for us for learning and how to lay the blueprint ahead. That's been quite useful. And today we are in a position, and we have been able to put in place 111 lakh crore project pipeline, only because we had the resolve and the confidence for executing projects of this quantum. So that's the story in short. As far as the public-private partnership domain is concerned, that's there to stay. And whatever it is, I feel the kind of financial requirements that are there for infrastructure sector development today, it's very, very vast, and all the sources put together cannot really meet the kind of requirement that is there. Banks have been so far very, very major participants in financing infrastructure. But going forward, I think a new architecture will have to take place and take shape. So that new architecture would mean banks doing the financing as per their liability profiling up to 5 to 7 years only, term period. And mainly in the greenfield sector. As far as the brownfield and completed projects are concerned, after 5 or 7 years, the amortization of the banking funds loans are over. It must be taken over by the bond market. So bond market has a very, very important role to play for extending the finance from where the banks leave out and to extend it beyond 20, 25 years, whatever it is. See, we have seen huge infrastructure project development in other countries. For example, we have had the Channel Tunnel in between London and Paris, which has seen, which is almost $1 trillion in costing, and which has seen over 203 banks in consortium for a 99-year lease. See, we need to see mega projects like that. Today we are seeing, the onset of huge projects with great outlays and more complex in terms of engineering and technological applications, and also, bringing in all the challenges that the financial institutions today have to possess in terms of their skill sets, appraisals, and due diligence, mechanisms. So, looking at it from a more macro perspective, we see the onset of a very, very mega development taking place in this area. And for addressing this, we need to be prepared, and we need to have not only a long-term plan, but also suitable medium-term and short-term measures. The long-term and medium-term would definitely mean that we would need institutional development to suit the size of the projects that is going to, happen today in India, and to cater to that kind of size of projects, you need large institutions, you need development finance institutions. So we need that kind of institutional mechanisms like the China Development Bank or Bendes of Brazil, KfW of Germany, something like that, to actually handle the kind of challenges that would come in. And on the other hand, on the immediate measures, we would need certain regulatory changes, regulatory reviews, particularly from the Reserve Bank of India, as well as other regulatory agencies. This would not entail much of monetary issues, but it would need to be conducive enough to kind of pit our regulatory mechanisms at par with global regulations, in order to kind of enable such project development. For example, the Channel Tunnel which I talked about, the 203 banks, they didn't come at a stretch for 99 years. They were, parcels of, stages where each bank, took, each set of banks took a certain portion of loan. 5 years, maybe 10 banks. The next 10 years, another about 6 banks. The next 5 years, again, another about 7 or 8 banks. It's a kind of a relay financing that happened. And that is the kind of, technology, the financial technology that has to come in today. And for that, the regulatory mechanisms has to be conducive. It can happen today also, but why we are not doing it? That's because, refinancing and relay financing.
Sir, bank can do it. This is what you're talking about, 5 years, 7 years. So then refinance can be done. I think this can be enforceable, sir. What do you suggest?
It is definitely enforceable. It's possible. That's because, today what's happening is, in terms of standard assets, the Reserve Bank of India guidelines, the master direction doesn't really permit us to, make refinance, possible, because that's the possibility of a refinancing getting into a restructuring mode, or even possibly an NPA mode, that actually dissuades, and the banks are not really interested. So we need to take out such. We need to weed out such regulatory change, mechanisms, and we have to have some reviews on that front. And so it doesn't need any monetary,